Got it. Hit the go live button. That's the solution. Hit the go live button. I never realized that in the past, sorry. Hi everybody. Yes, we're about to switch to cam. Seems to be working. Let's go. Let's go there. There we go. It's a bit bright. Ooh, turn that down a bit. Hi everyone. Hello. So we've got the Ducati and I've got the live stream up on YouTube. So if you're following me on Instagram on Alex Bike Tester Go, give me a follow on YouTube so you can see more what's going on. And the stream might be better quality actually than just the phone. So there's a link on the, should be a link. Let's just turn that music down. Ooh, there we go. So here we go, we've got the Ducati TK01. And if you've got any questions about it, I'm just going to go through it really this evening. Should be able to hear me all right. Hopefully the sound is synced. If you've got some questions, then hi David. Anche facciamo in italiano, se qualcuno vuole che faccio in italiano, anche lo posso fare, niente problema, nessun problema, la mia grammatica, che bello. Comunque, siamo live, okay? So, l'idea di questo stream, the idea of the stream is basically to talk about the bike. And I've had this bike on test for a while and it's been pretty interesting bike. So if you've got questions, then give me write questions in the chat and I will answer them. It's an interesting bike and I've been riding it now for about 3 weeks, a month, and done about 300 kilometers on it from absolutely brand new, so quite fortunate in that sense. Take the headphones off. Quite fortunate in the sense of the bike has been on the list for a while to have it. It's based on the TOC TK01 chassis, so that's the frame, but they've got a couple of variations of it. They've got the RR and they've got the, let's just check, how's the framing? Yep, you can see me. So they've got the RR version. No, sorry, this is the RR version. They've got the R, and then there's the TK01, which is the base version. The base version comes in around about 4,000 something. The TK01R is around 6, and this one's at around 8. And this is, or a bit more than that, but this one is the top of the range one, and this is actually Ducati. So Ducati are the ones who sell, service and deal with this bike. And it's a great bike, I have to say. I've been using it now properly. I've ridden it before in the past, but not really properly, and I didn't really have enough time to get into it as I have this time in the last month. And that's a really important thing. So bike testing is often something which, yeah, you can do pretty quickly. You can go around for a day and just ride around and sort of understand it vaguely. But once you've properly been into a bike for a while, it changes completely your attitude to it. Now, I always felt that Ducati or TOC, they tended to verge on the short size on the top tube, but I was probably wrong because I wasn't paying enough attention to the rear geometry, and that's the difference between the rear axle and the center of the motor, and that distance there is a little bit longer than you'd expect from a normal bike. So I have to say, let's just move the camera up a little bit. So it's a little bit longer than a normal bike, but that's okay. Its mainly its main reason for being that way is to create stability on the climbs. Now I've been riding this thing, as I said, 300 kilometers if we turn it on. So the power button's under there, which I kind of like actually, because it keeps it away from the mud, keeps the top tube clean. Kind of appreciate that placing there. I think that's not a bad place to place the power button. And yeah, if I scroll through the Shimano system it's got on it, yeah, I've done 310 kilometers from new with this bike. That's quite a lot actually. So it's 10 rides maybe, 8 rides, something like that. I've ridden it around a bit, shopped with it, gone to the supermarket and back. Interesting shopping bike to ride around. It's quite a loud bike, it's got quite a distinctive look to it. With a Ducati styling, which is done by D-Perf. I have to say, I do like the styling. It is good. And I like this brushed aluminium and lacquered look. It looks really good. It is actually a very distinctive bike, and it does draw attention, so that's worth considering when you're having a look at it. I own the press, hello. So, yeah, now the next thing they've done, because it's the top of the range model, it's got the Öhlins suspension on it. So we've got a 38 RXF on the front and a TTX Air on the back. Now that really is an interesting combination, and I haven't ridden another fork like this fork before, to be honest, and I've ridden pretty much all the best forks from RockShox and Fox, which tend to be the main forks that you find on the market nowadays. You don't tend to find on serial bikes many others, but this thing with the Öhlins on it, and it's Öhlins apparently, not Öhlins, but Öhlins because it's got the umlaut, is pretty impressive, I have to say. I was surprised actually how much it changed the character of the bike, and it really moved it on performance-wise compared to the next level down. Now, a lot of bikes at this price range don't have suspension as good as this. Now, it's not super complicated to set up, but you do need to spend a little bit of time to get the right feeling. But the thing I discovered with it, especially, is it's got like the best characteristics of all kinds of other forks out there. So if you look at the RockShox Ultimate and you look at the Fox, I did a test a while ago where I compared the two, and I actually preferred the RockShox because it had more support in the middle travel, and I found that the same to be true with this. It's got more support than say the Fox. But when I was on the RockShox, often I was thinking, it doesn't have the progressivity of the Fox. Well, one of the advantages of Fox 38, it's got a really solid progressive curve to it, so you hit something hard and it supports you at the end of the stroke. But it's really soft in the middle, which is fine if you're riding fast, but if you're not a fast rider, then you probably prefer the RockShox, which most people do. And if you talk to a lot of shop owners, they all prefer, well, they sell a lot of RockShox, also they're a bit cheaper as well. And then I tried this, and this also has that progressivity at the end of the stroke. So it kind of, okay, it's more expensive if you buy it off the shelf, but the performance of this fork at the beginning and the middle of the stroke is very impressive, I have to say. And it's got that sort of flow and smoothness, doesn't feel wooden, and at the same time it feels like supported. It's really impressive, and it changes the whole feeling of the bike. And when you tie that in with the rear shock, which honestly I barely touched, I took it as a setup, took it out of the box, played with it, and just like fiddled with it, I think the rebound once maybe, made sure that the compression was okay, and off I went. And honestly, I haven't touched it since. Obviously I set the pressure on it to my weight, but basically it was shockingly good. Now I have got on another bike the coil from Öhlins, which has got which is the TTX, but the metal sprung one. Hello, Manuel. And that was impressive as well. But this thing, for the weight as well, you've got a low weight, it's hard to decide, do I like the spring or do I like the air shock? And it's that good that this is almost like, maybe I wouldn't go for the spring on this type of bike, because it gives a lot of pop to it, which you can see in the compression curves when you look at a compression curve compared, or a response curve from the TTX Air compared to the TTX Coil. But I mean, the TTX Coil, it's more, it sticks to the ground better, shall we say. However, not getting too sucked into suspension dynamics because it's quite complicated. At the end of the day, this shock on this bike was impressive. So excellent choice from Ducati to mount this bike like this. And that's what, with that suspension package, it like lifts this bike up to the price range it's in, but at the same time it keeps that price range, let's say, reasonable. I mean, it's reasonably priced. It's an expensive bike, but it's reasonably priced expensive bike. They haven't got out of hand. And yes, it's an aluminium thing, but it's bomb proof. I mean, you've got, with this 38 fork and this, like, I think it's got I can't remember the exact dimensions here, but it's a bigger headset area. It's just absolutely bomb proof. This thing feels like a missile when you hit things. Well, not a missile, it feels like a sledgehammer when you hit things. It just goes straight through it. You've got so much control and stiffness with this fork and these fork legs here, and 38 mils, that, I mean, I don't know really what to say really. It's just a super impressive suspension package tied in with the frame. Now this has got mounted on it a mullet wheel setup, so we've got a 27.5 on the back and a 29er on the front, which I'm not a great fan of 29er, honestly, never have been, but in this combination it's okay. I like it, it's not a problem. I love 27 on the front, but nobody really makes any bikes anymore with 27 on the front, so we are left with, unfortunately, hang on a minute, let's just check my stream's working all right. Yes, it's still working. No drop frames, no chugging, because last week the stream chugged a bit at the end because the battery on my computer went flat because it doesn't charge. Thank you, Apple, for making a rubbish product, but there we go. Anyway, so basically, from what I've seen, with the 29 and 27 Pro thing, you've got maneuverability with a smaller back wheel size, and it does make a difference. At the same time, you've got the sort of straight line stability with the 29er on the front, and that's pretty true across most bikes, but they've done it pretty well here. And with that rear chainstay, you've got a fairly maneuverable but stable rear end, so I'm pretty impressed. And the next thing which is brilliant on this bike, is the Pirelli tyres. Now, I don't know how many people out there have tried the Pirelli tyres. The Scorpion, and this is the S, it's the EMTB S. They are stupendous. They are so robust. They never seem to puncture. And I mean, this one I actually got to inflate a bit because I haven't ridden it for a few days, and it's got some tubeless liquid. It's mounted on these Crank Brother wheels, but I have to say, they just don't puncture. Like, it's impossible, it seems, to cut or break one of these tyres. I've had other sets of Pirellis on other bikes, and I've never punctured them. Now, even if you go hard and you risk pinch puncturing, if you're running them soft, no puncture. At the same time, they've got this really aggressive tread pattern, which for an e-bike, for off-road, mountain bike, aggressive is the right way to do it, definitely. So that's a positive point. Now, if you've got any questions, please put them in the chat. I have got a few questions I had people ask me before going online to see what it'd be like. So we've got a couple of viewers on at the moment. Hello, people. Leave a comment, say hello, thank you. And basically, yeah, so the tyre combination with this wheel combination with the suspension, the whole package is basically building up to be what I would call an impressive bike. Ciao ragazzi, se siete italiani, anche lo posso parlare in italiano, non c'è problema. So the next thing to say about this bike is the motor and the battery and the drivetrain. So they put on here an XT12 speed on the back, which is pretty good, with an Shimano EP8 motor, 250 watts, 85 Newton meters, and the 630 watt Shimano battery. Now they've gone for the Shimano system, complete Shimano system, because basically it's better and more reliable, global service. This bike is available globally, so you can buy it in any Ducati dealership anywhere in the world. Now that is quite impressive, and I like this idea about what the motorcycle brands are bringing to the e-bike market and the cycling world. So also serviceability, so if you have a problem or you're missing a part or something breaks or you can replace it, you can quite easily get those spare parts from Ducati directly. You don't need to go to bicycle shops. You can just order them in directly. They hold a stock and boom, you've got the parts. That is again another thing which bike companies could learn from, because sometimes you end up going to a bike shop and they haven't got it, and you know. Anyway, with Ducati, no, you can just go there and they've got the parts. I know Yamaha are doing the same thing, and I'm expecting some of the other motorbike companies behind the brands like Husqvarna, Gas, things like that, will have again a similar method of treating the customer. Very important, especially when you've got an expensive bike. You don't want it to be off the road for any reason at all if you're waiting for a spare part, if that ever happened. Anyway, saying that, my experience of this in 300 kilometers, I've had zero problems, absolutely no problems. It's been working brilliantly, and it's really been a bit of a beast and impressive. I've actually really grown to like it. It's kind of been the bike of choice at the moment, so I've got I've actually got 8 bikes on the test, which is quite excessive, but this thing has been the bike of choice. It's been the one where I've gone, yep, I want that bike, I'm going to go for a ride on it, and then I'd stick on that bike. I've got a couple of bikes I'm shooting together. No, I'll take this one because I want to ride it there, I ride it around and I ride it home. This is the bike I use. Now, the motor system, Shimano, there is a new motor coming out, E801, which they haven't got on this yet, but I suspect that the new models will probably have them, or the new itinerations. They tend to do slow upgrades, but this motor's been brilliant, no problems. I like the tuning factor, and this is something really important. Bosch doesn't really still tune particularly well. I mean, you can tune it a bit, but this thing you can tune it in all 3 modes, all of the options. So you can tune the speed of the motor response, you can tune the torque power band. Those kind of things are really important. If you can hey Matley, ciao Matley, Jacopo, vai su YouTube, sono live su YouTube. C'è link sulla mio canale Alec Bike Tester, o anche sulla live, scusa non live, sulla stories, vedi la mia link su YouTube. Comunque, so basically I'm finding this combination of motor and battery, performance-wise, perfect. Settings, done perfectly. You can set it to whatever fitness level you like. The other thing is it's got a couple of profiles stored in the computer. Now, I don't know how many people fiddle with these things, but if you press and hold the button, there we go, and then you go into, gives you adjust, you can hit that. I think that's not adjust, is it? No, it's shift timing, assist customize, that's it. You hit it, you've got profile 1, profile 2. It's that easy, so you don't need to pull out your phone and go, I don't like this. So you can have what I call I'm tired mode, so you just go fast, and I've got what I'm feeling fit and I want to ride a long way mode. So I kind of have it set like that. For my preferences, I've learned over time what I like, and you can just do it without having to pull the phone out, which is really useful. So it gives you kind of, let's say, yeah, we're talking without doing anything, you've got 6 different power mode settings, shall we say? And then if you move into another thought pattern, you can go open your phone, okay, you can fiddle with it, and you can make the power modes even more options. I wouldn't say you need to do that a lot, because once you sort of found the way you like, especially if you've got I'm tired mode and I'm fast mode, then after that, it doesn't really matter. You just ride and you sort of forget and you get used to the bike. And the thing with the Shimano motor, honestly, is it does really blend very easily to the rider. You can really make it fit with how you ride and how you pedal, which is not possible particularly easily with the Bosch, unfortunately. It still needs more time, I think, on the computer system. I want all power modes to be adaptable. You can only adapt the turbo and the eco mode, which, I mean, the other modes are automatic and adapt automatically, but I would still prefer that you could fiddle with them as well. Whereas this, you can adapt all the power modes any way you like, and that makes this just really nice to ride. So yeah, interesting. So that's the power. Last thing to talk about tech-wise is the brakes, and we've got some XT brakes, and they've been absolutely amazing. No problems there. Stops as you want. You do need to bed them in a bit when you start. So, but for Shimano brakes, now Shimano, I have noticed over the years, they have what we call the Shimano brake lever problem, where you normally pull and it contacts the pads with air, and then you pull again and it there, and then the lever doesn't stay constant to where you pull it. But however, I've noticed in the last iteration of brakes coming out, that hasn't been so much of a problem. These ones, no problem. They were bled properly and they work perfectly well. I haven't touched them, and they're very reliable, work very well. And they're full piston brakes on the front and on the back, 200mm disc on the front, 200mm on the back. And with all this, with the braking capability, this thing stops amazingly well. So yeah, I am impressed. Anyway, so that's that bike from a technical point of view. Weight-wise, now I could get out the scale. Should we do a live weigh? Let's try and do a live weigh. I have a toolbox just here. Do I have my scales? No, they're not particularly accurate. I don't have the digital scales, but I do have somewhere the mechanical scales. See if I can find them. And this thing, it's not super light. There we go, found them. I think I might not, this is comedy live TV. So can I weigh the thing? Here's my scale. Now this thing goes up to, it's like for weighing meat basically. But never mind. We'll try. How long have we been live for? 22 minutes. Ooh, okay, cool. So basically, let's try and weigh this thing. Now I'm guesstimating 23 or 24, 25 kilos. It's not super light, so you've got to be pretty strong to lift the thing up. And the best way to weigh it is with a bit of a, okay, we'll stick it under the saddle, we'll see what we can get up to. So I'll do a live weight, not particularly easy to do, but we'll see what we can do if I can get the thing off the ground. Ready, hold that tummy in. Okay, it's off the bottom of the scale there. So, what is that? It's 25 kilos. It's not super light. Now that's not probably the most accurate, should we call it, thing. But this bike, the weight, is not actually that much of a problem. And that is with pedals, by the way. And those pedals are pretty light. Oh, can't put my toolbox. I've got a really cool toolbox, but it's got too much stuff in it already. Anyway, so interesting weight there. It's not super light, but that's okay because it's a robust bike, and I think this bike appeals to, let's call it the motorcycle rider maybe. I don't think it's a purist mountain biker bike. So if you're a purist mountain biker, you were on the mountain bikes before, you moved to e-bikes, you might not like it from that point of view, but if you dabbled in mountain bikes and you rode motorbikes, you'd like it. A, because it feels like a solid product. It's really got a lot of, and that's the sort of the 20 to 26, it's worth mentioning that most e-bikes are around 22 to 26 kilos, more or less. But this thing, so it's got that sort of planted feel, which is quite impressive, but at the same time, because it's got 180mm of suspension travel, which is really a lot, and almost unnecessary, it's got that robust spring and rebound to it. It feels poppy, it feels responsive, and they've put the right suspension on for the right way to bike, and that's the point. And if you've got a heavy bike, 180 mils of travel is probably worth having. So anybody in there? Anyway, so if you've got any questions, write questions, scrivere le domande in commenti, poi lo rispondere. Ovviamente domande della bici, non domande ridicoli. So, or if you've got any questions, write a comment and I can answer that. But basically, yeah, it's a robust, solid bike, so it appeals a lot to anyone who's interested in getting into e-bikes from the motorcycle world, or is interested in a really solid product with a classic, solid company name behind it. And that's the point. I mean, this has got, like, you know, a long lifetime of brand support behind it, quality product, quality service, quality guarantees. It's, you know, it's not a cheap bike, but you get what you pay for. Now, interestingly, they don't make non-e-bikes, so it is made for purpose. It's fit for purpose, let's say. It's a company which focused on e-bikes. They've done a lot of research and development. The head designer, or sort of product rider, Stefano Migliorini, who I know, he's an amazing rider. He was a world champion back in the day. He knew how to make this thing work with the Ducati mentality, branding, quality on top of it. You've got a top-end product there. So how does it ride? Well, I started sort of hinting about that. I have to say, from a riding point of view, it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of bike, so you've got a lot of protection there. You can go down very rough trails and it just absorbs everything and you don't really feel it. So if you're a good rider, you can do really a lot with this bike. If you're a reasonable rider, you're going to feel safe. And if you're a beginner rider, you might be a bit overbiked. You might not appreciate it, especially if you go riding on like easygoing trails. You might prefer the MIG, which is a smaller version and a little bit more lighter weight. But this thing is for those who really want to have fun, definitely, and don't want to spend 10 or 12,000 euro. Now, there is a limited version, which with a double crown fork on it, so doppio piastra, but that, I think, honestly, is probably a little bit excessive, and maybe for the purist motorbiker who wants a big solid fork, because that's why they kind of made it, and they made it limited edition. I've ridden it. It's so solid and big that you find yourself going so fast on certain trails that you're sort of, it takes you way beyond your limit very easily. So you've really got to be prepared for that. Whereas this keeps you in the comfort zone of your ability as a rider. And I think that's really important. Can you stay in the comfort zone for your ability as a rider? Because if you can, then this bike is probably for you in that sense. Now, let me just check the sound. I need to do a sound check because we are live. Okay, I can hear myself. That's the most important thing. Yeah, and I've got a couple of viewers. That's cool. Yeah, interestingly, the live thing kind of works, but people tend to come in later on. Hi, Dave in California. Hello, Dave. Hello. See Dave in California. And yeah, I got my friends joining, saying hello. I've got 4 watching right now. That's cool. Ciao tutti ragazzi. Okay. And I've also got Yozim, MTB News, joined and had a look. There's my ex-colleague. It's cool to see you. Anyway, so yeah, it's a super fun bike. How does it go around corners? It's amazing in corners and curves. You'll see some of the video stuff that I've put up on various videos. There'll be one in the final test where it loves berms. It just sticks to the corner. It's such a great performer, and that's really helped by the suspension. Now, it's not super raked open, the front fork. It's open enough, but it does keep you going with a 29er smooth enough. If it was too far open, it would be a little bit too relaxed. It's almost the kind of product that you might think, okay, this is for the serious-minded rider who wants to have serious fun, but is not necessarily going to go and like to the absolute extreme and want to, like, I don't know, hurt themselves, shall we say, on downhill tracks. But at the same time, you can ride it easy going. It likes to be in a sweet spot where you're constantly pushing it, but not to the point where you're, you know, going to really hurt yourself, shall we say. So, but I don't think many people do that nowadays. When I ride around in different parts of Europe especially, I see basically riders between the age of, I don't know, 30 to 70 riding e-bikes. Younger guys, some of them, yeah. But it's kind of, I mean, we're not old people sport, but could be, you know. But the e-bike is definitely something, I mean, they're pricey items, so obviously people, but this thing, it's going to be something which will last a long time as well. And I think that's something, it's not going to go out of date. This geometry is pretty standard now in the bike world. It's not too extreme. It'll please the person who's, shall we say, at the older end of the road range, who wants a more comfortable upright position. At the same time, you can set it up so it feels comfortable for the sort of the youthful rider. And one thing I forgot to mention, which it's got a carbon rental handbar. And if you look at some of my reviews on the Italian motor.it, you'll see that I love carbon handlebars. They do take the sting out the ride, and that's important. So if you've got a lot of choppy, rocky, rough terrain, when you've got an aluminium handlebar, you feel that a little bit more. With a carbon bar, it just takes the sting out a little bit and just feels a little bit smoother. I don't know why exactly. I want to go talk to a handlebar manufacturer and find out what's going on, especially when you compare, and this is a quality one, it's a Renthal bar, so pretty much best on the market, I would say. And it's good to see that on here, and it sets the bike apart, and it's those extra little bits which sort of justify the pricing, I suppose. I mean, a handlebar like this off the shelf is around 250, 300 euro, I think, maybe a bit less, 200, or is it 150? Well, that might be the end. If somebody knows the price of a Renthal handlebar, that'd be quite cool. I don't have to go in and try and search for it. But yeah, so basically, what was I saying? Yeah, comfort is a factor with this type of bike and who it's appealing to, and this is a comfortable bike, especially with 180 mils of travel. You don't need to upgrade. You've got the travel, you can just ride it. Even the lower versions, which you can get from TOC, they have the same level of amount of travel. But the whole component package together, upgraded brakes and better suspension, keeps it feeling super comfortable. So if anyone rides this and complains because of the components, I would be shocked. And for this price package with this level of componentry, it's good. And the fact that it's aluminium is also very positive to me, because you don't need a carbon frame. And even if you do have a carbon frame, does it give you any benefits? Sometimes it does, with, let's say, dispersion of energy through the frame in rough conditions, can feel a bit stiffer sometimes. But on a frame built as solid as this, it's probably not necessary. This is absolutely fine, and it keeps that price down because it's cheaper to produce an aluminium frame, and it means that you can also at the same time put extra components on which keep the performance up. You're probably going to notice more with the suspension package than you will with a carbon frame. So at this price range, that's a good thing. Anyway, I've been talking quite a lot here. We're at 33 minutes of chatting non-stop. That's quite impressive. And I've done the stream a lot better, shall we say, a lot less like just fluff of nothing. I've spoken about the whole bike there. Any questions, let me know. I'm going to be looking on the chat for a bit longer, and then we'll go offline in about 10 minutes. But at the end, I've got a few people on. The Instagram stream seems to be going quite well. Got quite a few people come up and popped up and had a look. And yeah, also on the YouTube stream. I kind of like streaming, it's fun. So I've noticed each week the numbers go up as well of the people who watch the streams. So I appreciate that. And just write comments, say hello. Any questions? Is it worth it? Yes, it's worth it. This bike is one of those rare bikes that, honestly, I think, even though it's expensive, if you've got the money, then I would definitely pop for this bike. You can buy it globally in America, Canada, Europe, Australia. It's available all over the world. It's global support. It's pretty important. And you've got a solid company behind this product, which is important, especially because it's from the non-bike world, so people can be skeptical. But although it's from the non-bike world, bike has made it, and I think that's worth remembering. Anyway, so let's have a look. Let's just go into, see if I can, let's put the headphones on a second. So if you're on Instagram watching, you might not be able to see this, but you'll see it on the YouTube stream. We go into OBS and we move into, let's find the streaming electric bike. Let's see what we can do. And hang on a minute, there we go. So these are the kind of the conditions that we're riding in, and I have to say, pretty. Climbing. Climbing is brilliant, actually. If I talk us through this in a video, climbing is actually kind of a nice experience on this bike. It's got a lot of power on the motors, so it's a natural feel. You stand up in the pedals, you ride along, pretty smooth. And then when you come to those down trails, like this trail we're looking at now, this is an amazing trail, by the way. Well done. We have to say mille grazie alla Tassio Ecology che hanno sistemato questo trail. And yeah, I mean, the cornering, just smoothly sticks to the corners, flows brilliantly. I'm impressed, always impressed. And jumping, very stable. It flies through the air. You can jump smoothly. There's cornering here on this part of the video. Steep corners, braking. The bike stays balanced, and that's the most important thing. It stays balanced, because some bikes like this are not particularly, cannot be balanced, but this one is always balanced, and that's something I really like. No matter where you are on the trail, what you're feeling, what's going on, you put on the brakes, you hit the power, whatever it is, the bike is always balanced, and that's something I like. So it's quite good fun as well for like popping manuals. If you like to pop manuals, it's quite good fun for that. This is a performance bike at the end of the day, so you can do a lot with it. This trail's amazing. Look at all these corners and like relaunches and things like that. That's relaunch is an Italian word, so rilanciata. Lapierre UK. Hello, Lapierre UK. How are you doing? You're watching me talk about this bike, but I do like your bikes as well. So anyway, so there we go. Yeah. Come down to the end of the trail, nice little jump. It sticks quite well. So if you take off and then you land on the reverse side of the jump, and go over the apex, let's say, without touching it, this bike feels stable and it reattaches, should we say, as you hit the ground really smoothly. It's just really stable, really planted feel. And that's one of these things. It's just things so solid to ride. Anyway, so let's just fade back. Ooh, what do we do? Oh no, we don't fade back, we do that. There we go, and we're back. So yeah, anyway, I think we've basically done most of what I was wanting to do in the stream. It's a bit bright there, this thing, is it burning my face? There we go. Turn the light down. It's, yeah, we're getting a bit bright. I need to sort my lighting out. It's not too bad, but I need some sort of overhead spotlights. I've got one, but I need another one. But yeah, anyway, so thanks for watching. Any questions before I'm about to end the stream, please let me know. And I haven't checked the WhatsApp because sometimes people drop messages in there, but no. Okay, anyway. So I'm pleased for, actually the streams work quite well. Technically, no hiccups. Got battery, computer's not chugging. I haven't dropped a single frame. Wow, that's impressive. Learning OBS a bit better. We need a little bit of an intro and outro stuff going on. But basically, yeah, pretty happy so far. Anyway, if if you've got any questions, I'll leave this chat or this video up, and you can write comments in the section below, and I'll answer any questions you want to know about how it is to ride this thing or own it or anything you want, because I'm impressed. I think it's a quality product, and I would definitely consider it if you're in that sort of price range and you want to spend serious money on a bike and you want to have fun. It's going to last a long time. It's not going to wear out. I think this thing, you want an amazing suspension package. This thing at this price, this suspension, not very many bikes have this kind of suspension at this price. You've got to remember that. So a serious contender for those serious riders who want to have an amazing experience and with a solid brand name behind it. Anyway, okay, just for out of interest, this stream was not sponsored. It is my choice to come on. In fact, I went on and told everybody at the companies, hey, I'm going online, have a look if you want to see. So just out of interest. Anyway, thanks for watching. Don't forget to give me a like and subscribe and leave a comment, and I will see you, everyone, on the next stream. Probably doing a weekly stream, maybe a bi-weekly stream. I've been being a bit rough these days, so it might be hard to keep up with the video edits at the moment, but everything's going pretty well. So thanks for watching, and we will see you all soon. And ciao for now.